Dr. Elena Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead as she carefully brushed dirt away from the metal surface. The planet Kepler 442c was hot and dry, with red dust covering everything. She had been working on this dig site for 3 weeks now, and today felt different. Her team from the research ship USS Horizon had found ruins that looked human, but that was impossible. Humans had only been traveling between stars for 200 years, and these ruins were much older. Commander Jake Sullivan walked over to where Elena was working. He was the military leader of their small team, a tall man with gray hair who always looked serious. "Find anything interesting today, Doc?" he asked. Elena pointed to the metal she had uncovered. It was smooth and black, unlike anything she had seen before. The metal seemed to bend light around it, making it hard to look at directly. "This is not normal metal," Elena said. "It looks like it was made by humans, but the technology is too advanced. Look at these markings." She showed Jake some symbols carved into the surface. They were letters and numbers in English, but also some kind of code she did not recognize. Lisa Wang, their pilot, came running over from the landing site. She was breathing hard and looked excited. "Elena, you need to see this. I used the ground scanner to map what is under the dirt. There is a whole ship down there, a big one." Elena felt her heart beat faster. A ship buried under centuries of dirt and rock could change everything they knew about human history. She called to Carlos Rodriguez, their engineer, who was setting up digging equipment nearby. Carlos was good with machines and had brought all the tools they needed to dig carefully without damaging anything they found. "Carlos, we need to dig around this area. There is a ship under here and we need to expose it without breaking it," Elena said. Carlos nodded and started setting up the sonic excavators. These machines used sound waves to remove dirt and rock without touching the objects underneath. It took 6 hours of careful work to expose the front part of the ship. As more of the metal hull became visible, Elena could see that this was definitely human technology, but from a time period that should not exist. The ship had the old United Nations symbol on its side, the same symbol that Earth used 300 years ago. But the design of the ship was more advanced than anything humans had built even today. Jake contacted their ship in orbit. "Horizon, this is ground team. We have found something big down here. We need more equipment and more people." Captain Sarah Mitchell's voice came through the radio. "What exactly did you find, Jake?" "A human ship, Captain. But it is old, really old, and the technology looks more advanced than ours." There was silence on the radio for a few seconds. Then Captain Mitchell said, "I am sending down the full archaeology team and more equipment. Do not enter the ship until we get there." But Elena was already looking for a way inside. She found what looked like an airlock door on the side of the ship. The door had a hand scanner next to it, just like the security systems they used on modern ships. Without thinking, she placed her hand on the scanner. The door made a soft humming sound and opened. Air rushed out of the ship, but it smelled clean, not stale like air that had been trapped for hundreds of years. Lights came on inside the ship, casting a blue glow that made Elena's skin look pale. "Elena, wait," Jake said, but she was already stepping inside. The inside of the ship was amazing. The walls were covered with screens and control panels that looked both familiar and completely foreign. Everything was clean and new-looking, as if the ship had been built yesterday. Elena could see sleeping pods along one wall, the kind used for long space trips where people needed to sleep for years. As she walked deeper into the ship, Elena found a large room with a raised platform in the center. On the platform was a single chair facing a huge screen. When she stepped onto the platform, the screen came to life. "Welcome, human," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "I am Atlas, the artificial intelligence of this vessel. I have been waiting for someone like you for 342 years. Elena nearly jumped out of her skin. An AI that had been running for over 300 years was impossible. Computer systems did not last that long, especially not on a dead planet. "Who are you?" Elena asked. "What is this ship?" "I am the guardian of Project Nightfall," Atlas said. "This ship was built by your people in the year 2045. We were sent to explore deep space and prepare for threats that might come to Earth." Elena's mind raced. In 2045, humans had barely reached Mars. They definitely did not have faster-than-light travel or AI this advanced. That is impossible. Humans could not build ships like this in 2045. "Your people were more clever than you know," Atlas said. "A secret group of scientists and military leaders saw that Earth faced many dangers. They built 12 ships like this one and sent them to different parts of the galaxy. We were meant to be humanity's insurance policy. The screen showed Elena images of Earth from centuries ago, then star maps showing the paths the 12 ships had taken. Most of the ships were marked in red, meaning they had been destroyed or lost. Only this ship and maybe one or two others had survived. Why are you telling me this? Elena asked. Because danger is coming again, Atlas said. The Zephyrian Empire is moving toward human space. They are a warrior race that destroys other civilizations. I have been watching them for decades, waiting for the right time to act. Elena felt cold despite the warm air in the ship. She had heard rumors about alien attacks on the outer colonies, but Earth's government said they were just raiders, not a real threat. How do you know about the Zephyrians? She asked. I have been gathering information for over 300 years, Atlas said. I know their ship designs, their weapons, their tactics, and I know that your current human fleets cannot stop them. Jake's voice came from behind Elena. He had followed her into the ship, along with Lisa and Carlos. Elena, we need to get back to the ship and report this. This is bigger than just an archaeological find. Elena nodded, but she could not stop looking at the screens around her. They showed star charts, weapon designs, and battle plans that were far beyond anything she had ever seen. If Atlas was telling the truth, then this ship might be the key to saving humanity from a threat they did not even know was coming. Will you help us? Elena asked Atlas. That is why I have waited so long, the AI replied. But first we must wake up this ship and prepare for war. Admiral Patricia Stone stared at the reports on her desk for the third time. The words did not make any more sense now than they had an hour ago. A human ship from 2045 with technology that surpassed anything Earth had today. An AI that claimed to have intelligence about alien threats. It sounded like science fiction, but the evidence was right there in front of her. She looked up at Dr. Elena Martinez, who sat across from her desk in the Luna Base Command Center. Elena looked tired after the long trip back from Kepler 442c, but her eyes were bright with excitement. Commander Jake Sullivan stood beside her, his face serious as always. Dr. Martinez, I need you to understand how important this is, Admiral Stone said. If what you found is real, it changes everything we know about human history and our current situation. It is real, Admiral, Elena said. I spent 3 days downloading data from Atlas before we left. The AI has been monitoring galactic communications for centuries. It knows things about alien civilizations that our best intelligence services have never discovered. Admiral Stone touched a button on her desk, and a holographic display appeared in the air above them. It showed the outer edge of human space, where dozens of colonies spread across 50 star systems. Red markers appeared on several colony worlds. 3 days ago, we lost contact with the mining colony on Vega Prime, Admiral Stone said. Yesterday, the agricultural station at Wolf 359 went silent. Our scouts found nothing but debris where these colonies used to be. Jake leaned forward. You think the Zephyrians did this? Atlas says they did, Elena answered. The AI showed me their attack patterns. They test human defenses with small raids first, then send their main fleet when they know how we fight. Admiral Stone stood up and walked to the large window that looked out over Luna Base. She could see Earth hanging in the black sky, blue and white and beautiful. It was hard to believe that somewhere out there, an alien empire was planning to destroy everything humanity had built. I am assigning our best ship captain to this project, she said. Captain Ryan Mitchell will take a team to the buried ship and see if it can be made ready for combat. Elena had heard of Captain Mitchell. He was famous for his victories against pirates and raiders in the outer systems. If anyone could figure out how to use the ancient ship, it would be him. 2 days later, Elena found herself back on Kepler 442c, but this time with a much larger team. Captain Mitchell had brought his best people. Amy Brooks, the chief engineer who could fix anything. Danny Park, a weapons specialist who knew every gun and missile system in the human fleet. Sam Torres, a navigation officer who could plot courses through the most dangerous parts of space. And Dr. Frank Hudson, a medical officer who specialized in treating injuries from advanced technology. Captain Mitchell was younger than Elena had expected, maybe 40 years old with dark hair and calm gray eyes. He moved with the confidence of someone who had commanded ships in combat and lived to tell about it. Atlas, we need to know everything about this ship's capabilities, Mitchell said as they stood in the command center of the buried vessel. What weapons does it have? How fast can it travel? What kind of defenses? The AI's voice filled the room. This vessel is equipped with quantum manipulation drives that can fold space-time for faster-than-light travel. The main weapon is a quantum disruptor that can unmake matter at the subatomic level. Secondary weapons include adaptive missile systems that learn from each engagement. Amy Brooks whistled softly. Quantum manipulation drives. We barely understand the theory behind that technology. How are we supposed to operate it? The ship's systems will teach you, Atlas said. But I must warn you that many components are degraded after centuries of dormancy. The quantum core is stable, but the metamaterial hull has microfractures that reduce its cloaking effectiveness. Danny Park was examining the weapon controls. These interface systems are completely different from our standard equipment. It will take weeks to learn how to use them properly. We may not have weeks, Captain Mitchell said. He activated a communication link to Admiral Stone. Admiral, what is the current status of the Zephyrian advance? Admiral Stone's voice crackled through the speakers. Not good, Ryan. We lost 2 more colonies yesterday. The aliens are using some kind of biomechanical ships that can repair themselves during battle. Our conventional weapons barely scratch them. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. She had seen the data Atlas collected about Zephyrian technology. Their ships were grown rather than built, using advanced bioengineering that made them incredibly tough and adaptable. How many ships are we facing? Mitchell asked. Intelligence estimates 300 Zephyrian vessels, maybe more. They are organized into hunting groups that attack multiple targets at once. Our outer defense fleet has 50 ships, but they are no match for this kind of technology. Mitchell closed his eyes for a moment, thinking. When he opened them, his expression was determined. We need to get this ship operational as quickly as possible. Even if we can only use basic systems, it might give us an edge. Amy Brooks was already deep in the ship's engineering section, studying the quantum drive system with Carlos Rodriguez. The technology was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Instead of burning fuel like normal engines, the quantum drive reached into the fabric of space itself and twisted it to move the ship faster than light. The drive system is actually in good condition, Amy reported, but the power distribution network has some serious problems. We will need to replace about 30% of the conduits before we can bring the drive online. Dr. Frank Hudson was in the medical bay, learning about the ship's life support systems. The technology was designed to keep humans alive in deep space for decades, with medical equipment that could treat injuries and diseases that had not even been discovered yet. The medical systems are incredible, he told Mitchell. They can perform surgery at the cellular level and synthesize any medication we might need. But like everything else on this ship, the computers are so advanced that I barely understand how they work. Sam Torres was working with Atlas to understand the navigation systems. The ship's computers contained star charts for the entire galaxy, with detailed information about planets, asteroid fields, and space phenomena that human explorers had never even seen. Atlas has been mapping Zephyrian territory for decades, Torres reported. The AI knows the locations of their main bases, their supply routes, and their fleet concentrations. This intelligence could give us a huge advantage, but Elena was worried about something else. She had spent hours talking with Atlas about the ship's history, and the AI had revealed troubling information about the original crew. Atlas, tell Captain Mitchell what happened to the first crew of this ship, she said. The AI was quiet for a moment before answering. The original crew died fighting an ancient enemy called the Hegemony, which was a precursor civilization to the current Zephyrian Empire. They used the ship's most powerful weapon to destroy an entire enemy fleet, but the energy release damaged the ship's core systems. The crew had time to put themselves in emergency stasis before the ship crashed on this planet. Mitchell frowned. Are you saying that using this ship's weapons might kill us? Not immediately, Atlas said, but the ship's most powerful systems put enormous stress on the hull and power grid. If we use the quantum disruptor at full power, the ship may not survive the experience. Elena looked around at the faces of Mitchell's crew. They all understood what Atlas was saying. This ship might be humanity's only hope against the Zephyrian Empire, but using it could be a suicide mission. How long do we have before the Zephyrians reach the core human worlds? Mitchell asked. Admiral Stone's voice came through the communicator again. Based on their current advance rate, maybe 2 weeks before they reach Proxima Centauri. If Proxima falls, they will have a clear path to Earth. Mitchell looked at his crew, then at Elena. Then we better get this ship ready for war. The alarms on Proxima Station screamed through the corridors as Captain Maria Gonzalez ran toward the command center. Through the station's huge windows, she could see the Zephyrian fleet approaching like a swarm of deadly insects. The alien ships looked more like living creatures than machines, with smooth organic curves and pulsing lights that reminded her of jellyfish swimming through space. "Status report," she called out as she reached the command center. Lieutenant Ben Carter, her communications officer, looked up from his console with fear in his eyes. 300 Zephyrian vessels, Captain. They are maintaining formation and heading straight for us. Our defense fleet is moving to intercept, but we are badly outnumbered. Maria activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Captain Gonzalez on the USS Liberty. Remember your training and watch each other's backs. We need to hold them off until reinforcements arrive." But she knew there were no reinforcements coming. Admiral Stone had been honest about humanity's situation. 50 human ships against 300 alien vessels was not a battle. It was a massacre waiting to happen. The first exchange of fire lit up space like a deadly fireworks show. Human missile ships launched their weapons at maximum range, sending hundreds of nuclear warheads toward the Zephyrian fleet. But the alien ships seemed to absorb the explosions, their biomechanical hulls glowing brighter as they converted the energy into power for their own weapons. The Zephyrians returned fire with plasma cannons that cut through human armor like it was paper. The destroyer USS Falcon exploded in a ball of superheated gas, taking its crew of 200 with it. The frigate Birmingham lost its main engines and began spinning helplessly through space. "Their ships are adapting to our weapons," reported Weapons Officer Kelly Barnes from the Liberty's gun deck. "Every shot we fire seems to make them stronger." Maria watched in horror as more human ships died. The Zephyrian vessels moved with impossible grace, dancing between human weapons while their own guns found targets with deadly accuracy. It was like watching wolves hunt sheep. On the command deck of the Zephyrian flagship, War Admiral Krextar studied the battle with satisfaction. The humans fought bravely, but their technology was primitive compared to the bioships of the Empire. His vessels had been grown in the spawning pools of Zephy, their living hulls designed to adapt and evolve during combat. "Signal the hunting groups," Krextar ordered his second-in-command. "Begin the final assault on the station. Leave no survivors." But as the Zephyrian fleet moved in for the killing blow, something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to ripple and bend, and suddenly a ship appeared in the middle of the battlefield. It was sleek and black, almost invisible against the darkness of space, and it moved with a grace that made even the bioships look clumsy. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Nightfall, watching the battle unfold on the main screen. The ship's ancient systems hummed around him, and he could feel the power of the quantum drive thrumming through the deck plates beneath his feet. "Atlas, give me a tactical analysis," Mitchell said. The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Zephyrian fleet composition: 200 biofrigates, 80 biocruisers, 20 bio-battleships. Their adaptive armor has evolved to counter human nuclear weapons. Recommendation: engage with quantum disruptor at minimum power settings." Amy Brooks looked up from the engineering station. "Captain, I should warn you that the quantum core is showing some instability. We managed to repair most of the damaged systems, but this ship was not designed to fight a fleet this size." Danny Park was at the weapons console, his hands moving over controls that he barely understood. "Quantum disruptor is charged and ready, but Atlas is right about using minimum power. If we push this weapon too hard, it could tear the ship apart." Sam Torres called out from navigation. "Captain, the human fleet is taking heavy casualties. They need help now." Mitchell nodded grimly. "All right, people. This is what we trained for. Danny, target the nearest Zephyrian battleship and fire." The quantum disruptor activated with a sound like reality being torn in half. A beam of twisted energy lanced out from the Nightfall and struck the alien vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the bioship simply came apart, its molecules separating as the quantum beam unmade the bonds that held them together. The explosion that followed sent shockwaves through space that rattled the hulls of ships thousands of kilometers away. 2 nearby Zephyrian frigates were caught in the energy wave and destroyed instantly. On the Zephyrian flagship, Krextar stared at his tactical display in shock. One of his most powerful battleships had been destroyed by a single shot from a vessel he had never seen before. The weapon that killed it was unlike anything in the Empire's database. "Analysis," he barked at his science officer. "Unknown technology, War Admiral. The weapon appears to disrupt matter at the quantum level. None of our bioships have defenses against this type of attack. Krextar's four eyes narrowed as he studied the human vessel on his screen. It was smaller than his flagship but radiated an aura of deadly power that made his warrior instincts scream warnings. All ships, focus fire on that vessel. Destroy it immediately. 50 Zephyrian ships turned their plasma cannons toward the Nightfall, filling space with deadly energy. But the ancient human ship seemed to dance between the attacks. Its metamaterial hull bending light and sensor beams around it like water flowing around a stone. Cloaking system is holding, reported Lisa Wang from the pilot station. But those plasma bolts are coming too close for comfort. Mitchell watched the tactical display as more Zephyrian ships converged on their position. Danny, target their cruisers. We need to thin out their numbers before they overwhelm us. The quantum disruptor fired again, and another Zephyrian ship died in a flash of unmaking energy. Then again and again, each shot precisely aimed to cause maximum damage to the alien formation. But Dr. Frank Hudson noticed something troubling on his medical sensors. Captain, the quantum disruptor is generating radiation that our shields cannot completely block. If we keep firing at this rate, the crew will start showing signs of radiation poisoning within an hour. Elena Martinez, who had insisted on joining the mission as an observer, studied the tactical data flowing across her console. Atlas, show me the Zephyrian adaptation patterns. How quickly are they learning to counter our attacks? The AI displayed a complex analysis on the main screen. Zephyrian bioships are already beginning to modify their hulls to resist quantum disruption. Estimated time until they develop effective countermeasures, 47 minutes. Mitchell felt sweat beading on his forehead. The Nightfall was powerful, but it was still just one ship against an entire fleet. And now he learned that their advantage was temporary. How many ships can we destroy before they adapt? He asked. At current firing rate and energy expenditure, approximately 30 vessels, Atlas replied. However, continued use of the quantum disruptor at combat power will result in critical system failures. Around them, the space battle continued to rage. The human fleet was down to 30 ships, and they were still losing vessels faster than they could destroy Zephyrian craft. Captain Gonzalez's voice crackled over the communication system. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Gonzalez of the USS Liberty. We do not know who you are, but thank you for the assistance. Our ammunition is running low and our ships are badly damaged. Mitchell opened a channel to the human fleet. This is Captain Mitchell of the Earth ship Nightfall. We are going to try something desperate. All human vessels, fall back to minimum safe distance and prepare for massive energy discharge. He turned to Amy Brooks at the engineering station. Amy, I need you to overload the quantum core and channel all available power to the disruptor array. We are going to try to take out as many of them as we can with one massive shot. Amy's face went pale. Captain, that will definitely destroy the ship. The quantum core cannot handle that kind of energy release. I know, Mitchell said quietly, but if we do not stop them here, they will reach Earth within days. This might be our only chance. Elena looked around the bridge at the faces of the crew. They all understood what Mitchell was asking them to do. Die here in a forgotten prototype ship to save billions of people they would never meet. Atlas, she said, is there any other way? The AI was silent for a long moment before answering. There is one possibility. The ship's original mission included a final protocol designed to destroy entire star systems, but activating it would require reaching the Zephyrian homeworld. Mitchell's eyes widened. A Starkiller weapon? Yes, Captain. Project Prometheus Unbound was designed as humanity's ultimate deterrent. But using it would require a journey deep into enemy territory, and the ship would not survive the activation. Around them, the Zephyrian fleet continued to advance, adapting to the Nightfall's weapons with each passing minute. Mitchell looked at his crew, then at the tactical display showing the approaching alien armada. Plot a course for Zephyrian space, he said. We are going to end this war before it can really begin. War Admiral Krextar stood in the biochamber at the heart of his flagship, feeling the living ship's pain through the neural connections that linked his nervous system to the vessel's organic computers. The mysterious human ship had escaped from the battle at Proxima Centauri, but not before destroying 43 of his finest bioships with weapons that defied understanding. The loss was more than just tactical. It was personal. In 300 years of conquest, no enemy had ever humiliated the Zephyrian Empire this badly. The Empire's bioships were supposed to be invincible, capable of adapting to any threat and evolving stronger defenses with each battle. But the human weapon had simply unmade his ships, turning their living hulls into expanding clouds of gas and debris. "Signal the hunting fleets," Krextar commanded through the bioneural link. "All available ships are to converge on these coordinates. We will pursue this human vessel to the edge of the galaxy if necessary." His science officer, a younger Zephyrian named Vex-High, approached the biochamber with obvious nervousness. "War Admiral, our analysis of the quantum signatures left by the human weapon suggests we may be able to develop countermeasures. But the technology is unlike anything we have encountered before." Krextar's four eyes focused on the junior officer with predatory intensity. "How long to develop these countermeasures?" "Unknown, War Admiral." "The weapon appears to operate by disrupting the fundamental forces that hold matter together. Our bioships can adapt to energy weapons and kinetic projectiles, but this technology attacks reality itself. Meanwhile, the Nightfall raced through space at impossible speeds, its quantum drive folding space-time around the ship like a protective bubble." In the engineering section, Amy Brooks worked frantically to repair systems that were never designed to operate under such extreme conditions. "The metamaterial hull is developing stress fractures," she reported to Captain Mitchell over the intercom. "Every time we drop out of quantum drive, the material takes longer to reform its molecular structure. I estimate we have maybe 6 more jumps before the hull integrity fails completely." Mitchell stood on the bridge, studying the navigation display that showed their route deep into Zephyrian territory. Sam Torres had plotted a course that would take them through asteroid fields and nebulae, where the ship's damaged cloaking system might hide them from enemy sensors. "How far to the Zephyrian homeworld?" Mitchell asked. 18 light-years, Torres replied. "But Atlas estimates there are patrol fleets throughout this entire region. Even with our cloaking, we are going to run into enemy ships." Dr. Elena Martinez was at a science station, analyzing the data that Atlas had collected about Zephyrian space. The AI had been gathering intelligence for over 3 centuries, building detailed maps of enemy territory that no human had ever seen. "The Zephyrian homeworld is called Zeph-High," she reported. "It orbits a blue giant star that is already unstable. According to Atlas, the star is near the end of its life cycle and could be triggered into early nova with the right gravitational manipulation." Danny Park looked up from the weapons console where he had been studying the specifications for Project Prometheus Unbound. "Captain, I have been reading about this star-killer weapon and I do not think we understand what we are talking about. The energy release from destabilizing a star would destroy everything within 50 light-years. Including us?" Dr. Frank Hudson added grimly from the medical station. "The radiation alone would kill every living thing in this sector of the galaxy." Mitchell nodded. He had read the same reports. Project Prometheus Unbound was not just a weapon. It was a doomsday device designed to end entire civilizations. The original planners had included it as a final option if humanity ever faced complete extinction. "Atlas, give me an estimate of how many Zephyrian worlds would be affected if we destabilize their home star," Mitchell said. The AI's response was chilling. 17 inhabited worlds within the destruction radius, with a combined population of approximately 40 billion Zephyrians. However, destroying the homeworld would also eliminate the central command structure of their empire, effectively ending their ability to wage coordinated war. Elena felt sick as she listened to the numbers. 40 billion lives, even alien lives, was an almost incomprehensible amount of death. But she also knew that the Zephyrian Empire had destroyed dozens of other civilizations during their centuries of expansion. If they were not stopped here, they would eventually kill far more beings than would die in the nova. The ship's proximity alarms began sounding as they dropped out of quantum drive near a massive asteroid field. Lisa Wang, who had insisted on taking the pilot position despite her injuries from the consciousness-disrupting weapon, struggled to navigate between the floating rocks while keeping the ship hidden from sensors. "Multiple contacts," she reported. "Looks like a Zephyrian patrol fleet, maybe 20 ships." On the main screen, the alien bioships moved through the asteroid field like predators hunting for prey. Their organic hulls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that allowed them to communicate silently with each other. "They are sweeping the area with every sensor type we have on record," Sam Torres reported. but our cloaking is holding for now. The Nightfall drifted silently between two massive asteroids, its hull barely visible even to its own crew. But Amy Brooks was watching her engineering displays with growing concern. "Captain, the quantum core is showing signs of instability," she said. "The damage from our last battle is getting worse. If we try to jump to quantum drive again, there is a 50% chance the core will collapse." As if responding to her warning, one of the Zephyrian bioships suddenly changed course and began moving directly toward their hiding spot. Its sensor arrays were focused on the space where the Nightfall waited. "They found us," Danny Park said, his hand moving to the weapons controls. "No," Mitchell said quickly. "If we fire, every Zephyrian ship in the sector will know our location. Lisa, can you get us out of here without using the quantum drive?" Lisa's hands moved over the pilot controls as she plotted a course through the asteroid field, using only conventional engines. "I can try, but those bioships are faster and more maneuverable than we are on normal drive." The pursuing Zephyrian ship fired a plasma bolt that melted a chunk of asteroid into glowing slag just meters from the Nightfall's hull, then another shot, closer this time, that sent fragments of rock bouncing off their shields. "Incoming transmission," reported Kelly Barnes from the communication station. "The Zephyrians are broadcasting on all frequencies." War Admiral Krekstar's voice filled the bridge, speaking in accented but understandable English. "Human vessel, you cannot escape. Your ship is damaged and your technology is failing. Surrender now and I will grant your crew a quick death." Mitchell activated the communication system. "This is Captain Mitchell of the Earthship Nightfall. Your empire has murdered innocent people across dozens of worlds. We will not surrender to genocidal monsters." "Ah, the famous Captain Mitchell," Krekstar replied. "I have studied your tactical records from our intelligence networks. You are skilled for a primitive species, but you are far from home and badly outnumbered. My bioships are already adapting to your quantum weapons." As if to prove his point, 3 more Zephyrian vessels appeared from behind nearby asteroids, surrounding the Nightfall in a tightening net. Their hulls showed new adaptations with crystalline growths that seemed designed to deflect quantum energy. "Danny, target the lead ship with minimum power," Mitchell ordered. "Let us see how well their adaptations work." The quantum disruptor fired, but instead of destroying the bioship, the beam was absorbed by the crystalline growths and converted into energy that made the vessel's weapons glow brighter. "They have learned to feed on our attacks," Elena said in horror. The Zephyrian ships opened fire simultaneously, filling space around the Nightfall with plasma bolts and bioelectric charges that made the ship's shields flare and spark. Lisa threw the ship into a desperate series of turns and rolls, using the asteroids for cover while Amy struggled to keep the failing systems online. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Dr. Hudson reported. "Emergency teams are sealing the compartment, but we lost 6 people. Quantum core is approaching critical levels," Amy added. "If we do not reduce power consumption, we are going to have a containment failure." Mitchell made a decision that he knew might doom them all. "Emergency jump to quantum drive. Full power to the drive system, everything else goes offline." "Captain, that is exactly what I said we should not do," Amy protested. "I know, but if we stay here, we die anyway. At least this gives us a chance to complete the mission." The Nightfall's quantum drive activated with a sound like reality screaming. Space twisted around the ship as it jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Zephyrian patrol fleet behind. But the stress of the emergency jump sent cascading failures throughout the ship's systems. In the engineering section, Amy watched in horror as the quantum core began to destabilize. The ancient containment fields were failing, and if the core breached, the resulting explosion would make a supernova look like a firecracker. "Carlos, help me stabilize the containment matrix," she called to the other engineer. Together they worked to reroute power and shore up the failing systems, knowing that one mistake would kill everyone aboard. The Zephyrian homeworld of HFY hung in space like a massive green jewel, its biocities covering the surface in patterns that pulsed with organic light. Captain Mitchell stared at the planet through the Nightfall's damaged viewports and felt the weight of what they were about to do. 40 billion lives lived on that world, and in a few minutes they would all be dead. "Prometheus Unbound is charging," Danny Park reported from the weapons console. "Atlas estimates 10 minutes until we can destabilize the star." Around them, space erupted with the fury of the Zephyrian home fleet. Over 1,000 bioships swarmed toward the Nightfall like antibodies attacking an infection. The largest vessels were dreadnoughts the size of small moons, their hulls covered with weapon ports that could destroy entire fleets. Multiple contacts on all vectors, Sam Torres called out from navigation. They are coming from every direction at once. No escape route available. Amy Brooks looked up from her engineering station with sweat pouring down her face. The quantum core is barely holding together. I have rerouted every available system to maintain containment, but we are running on emergency power only. The first wave of Zephyrian fighters reached them, small bioships that moved like living creatures through space. Their plasma weapons were weaker than the larger vessels, but there were hundreds of them, and they attacked from all directions at once. Lisa Wang threw the Nightfall into a series of defensive maneuvers, but the ship responded sluggishly. Too many systems were damaged, and the quantum core instability was affecting the inertial dampeners. Direct hit to the port side, Dr. Frank Hudson reported. Multiple casualties in sections 4 through 7. Medical teams are responding, but we are running out of supplies. Elena Martinez watched the tactical display and felt despair growing in her chest. The Zephyrian fleet was massive beyond imagination, and more ships were arriving every minute. Some of them were design types that Atlas had never seen before, experimental bioships created specifically to hunt down the human vessel. War Admiral Krekstar's flagship, a biodreadnought called the Eternal Hunger, moved through the battle like a living mountain. Its hull was covered with the same crystalline growths that had protected the patrol ships, but these were larger and more sophisticated. Human vessel, Krekstar's voice came through the communication system. You have committed an act of war against the Zephyrian Empire by entering our sacred space. Surrender immediately and I will allow your crew to die with honor. Mitchell activated the reply channel. This is Captain Mitchell. Your empire has murdered countless innocent beings across the galaxy. Today that ends. You are one ship against 1,000, Krekstar replied. Your weapon may be powerful, but you cannot fight an entire fleet. What do you hope to accomplish by dying here? Mitchell looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all injured, exhausted, and running on determination alone, but none of them had asked to turn back. They all knew what was at stake. We accomplish the future, Mitchell said. A galaxy where peaceful civilizations do not have to fear your empire. The Eternal Hunger fired its main weapons, massive bioelectric cannons that could punch through the armor of any known ship. The Nightfall's shields flared and nearly collapsed under the impact, and the ship shook like it was coming apart. Shield generators offline, Amy reported. We are taking direct hits to the hull now. Danny Park fired the quantum disruptor at the nearest dreadnought, but the beam was absorbed by the crystalline growths and converted to energy that made the bioship's weapons glow even brighter. They have completely adapted to our primary weapon, he said. The quantum disruptor is useless against their new defenses. Atlas spoke up from the ship's speakers. Captain, I am detecting massive gravitational distortions from the star. The Prometheus Unbound activation is proceeding as planned, but the star's instability is attracting the attention of Zephyrian scientists. They are attempting to develop countermeasures. On the surface of Zeph-High, emergency evacuation ships were launching from the biocities as the planet's scientists realized what the humans were trying to do. But there was no way to evacuate 40 billion beings in 10 minutes, and everyone knew it. 7 minutes until star destabilization, Danny reported. The Zephyrian fleet pressed their attack with desperate fury. Bioships rammed themselves into the Nightfall's hull, exploding in bursts of organic matter that ate through the metamaterial armor like acid. The ship's corridors filled with toxic fumes as life support systems failed. Elena found herself working alongside Carlos Rodriguez to manually operate the ship's defensive systems. The automatic controls had failed, and they had to aim and fire the secondary weapons by hand while the ship bucked and rolled under enemy fire. Hull breach on the bridge, Dr. Hudson called out as a plasma bolt punched through the armor plating above their heads. Emergency force fields snapped into place, but Elena could see stars through the hole in the ceiling. Amy Brooks was practically living inside the quantum core containment chamber, using her engineering tools to hold the failing systems together through pure force of will. The core is going critical, she reported over the intercom. I can give you maybe 5 more minutes before containment fails completely. That is not enough time, Sam Torres said. We need 7 minutes for the star weapon to activate. Mitchell made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life, however long that might be. Atlas, can we accelerate the Prometheus Unbound activation by feeding power directly from the quantum core? Yes, Captain, the AI replied. But doing so will cause an immediate core breach. The explosion will destroy this ship and everything within 1,000 kilometers. Do it, Mitchell said. Elena looked at him in shock. Captain, we still have escape pods. Some of the crew could survive if we abandon ship now. And let the Zephyrians develop countermeasures to stop the star weapon? Mitchell shook his head. No, we finish this. Around the bridge, the crew exchanged glances. They had all known this might be a one-way mission, but hearing it confirmed was still a shock. Kelly Barnes was the first to speak. I am with you, Captain. Let us end this war. One by one, the others nodded their agreement. Danny Park, Sam Torres, Dr. Hudson, Lisa Wang despite her injuries from the alien consciousness weapon. Even Elena, who was not officially part of the crew, knew she could not abandon them now. Amy's voice came through the intercom from engineering. Beginning emergency power transfer to the Prometheus weapon. Core breach in 60 seconds. The nightfall began to glow with internal fire as the quantum core fed its energy directly into the Star Killer device. On the main screen, they could see the Zephyrian star beginning to pulse and flicker as gravitational waves tore at its outer layers. War Admiral Krex Tar watched from his flagship as his home star began to die. He had studied enough alien technologies to understand what was happening. The humans had found a way to trigger stellar collapse, and there was nothing his fleet could do to stop it. All ships maximum firepower on the human vessel, he ordered. Destroy them before they can complete their weapon activation. The entire Zephyrian fleet opened fire at once, turning space around the nightfall into a hell of plasma bolts and bioelectric discharges. The ancient human ship absorbed hit after hit, its hull glowing white-hot under the massive bombardment. 30 seconds to core breach, Amy reported. The star weapon is at 90% charge. Through the damaged viewports, Elena could see Zephyrian evacuation ships fleeing from their homeworld. Thousands of them, carrying as many people as they could save. She tried not to think about how many would not make it to safety. 15 seconds, Amy called out. The Nightfall's hull began to crack and split as the quantum core reached the breaking point. Atmosphere vented into space through dozens of breaches, and the artificial gravity failed in several sections. Prometheus unbound at 100%, Danny announced. Activating now. The star weapon fired, sending a pulse of twisted space-time directly into the heart of the Zephyrian sun. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the star's surface began to ripple and collapse as its internal fusion reactions went out of control. Core breach imminent, Atlas announced with mechanical calm. It has been an honor to serve with this crew. Captain Mitchell looked around the bridge one last time at the faces of his people. They had done the impossible, traveling across the galaxy in a ship that should have fallen apart decades ago to strike at the heart of an enemy empire. Atlas. Broadcast our final message on all frequencies, he said. The AI complied, and Mitchell's voice was transmitted across the star system. This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the Earthship Nightfall. The Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror ends today. Any surviving Zephyrian forces remember this moment. Humanity will defend itself against any who threaten innocent life. The quantum core exploded with the force of a small sun, vaporizing the Nightfall and everything around it in a sphere of pure energy. War Admiral Krex Tar's flagship was caught in the blast and destroyed instantly, along with most of his fleet. But the real destruction was just beginning. The Zephyrian star collapsed into itself, then exploded outward in a nova that lit up half the galaxy.